Margaret Cathaoirleach, and I too would like to welcome the Minister to the House. And I think it's actually worth pointing out that very, very little has happened in the whole area of trying to regulate gambling for a long, long time, and it precedes 2011 very much. And we wouldn't even be where we are today but for this Minister and the forensic knowledge that he did build up while he was chair of the Oireachtas Committee on Justice, where a significant body of work was done in this area. And in his period in government, he has advanced significantly with the report that he brought to Cabinet on these matters a couple of weeks ago, probably the end of March. The government are committed to a gambling regulator because the senators and Senator Crockwell is right. Online gambling is very, very serious. It's developing at breakneck speed, and we have to have an appropriate, professional and internationally in-tune response to that. Setting up a gambling regulator is not an easy piece of work. You're talking about recruiting anything up to 100 people who are highly specialised in the work they do to ensure that they can not alone keep up with the development of modern technology, but actually move ahead of it and to try and deal with the consequences of it before those consequences present themselves. But that is a piece of work that's ongoing. My understanding of this piece of legislation, it's to tidy up previous pieces of legislation. It's not really designed to deal with online gambling. That's a much more serious and much more and requires a significant, as I've said already, body of work. I mean, up until now, any young fella at a race meeting could go up to the tote and put on a bet and do it quite legally. This legislation ensures that they have to be 18 years of age in order to do it. Now, I think it is also fair to point out that the tote have voluntarily adopted an 18s or over approach. I would be concerned, I suppose, in terms of the running of raffles and draws at sporting events that we all attend. I was at, and I'm sure every other member was at some even over the weekend, where we paid our £5 or our £10 for cloakroom tickets. And I don't know whether it is appropriate to legislate that, as a colleague of mine pointed out, that you have to be over 18 to buy a cloakroom ticket. Perhaps that is maybe going a step too far. But at the same time, I think we're better off perhaps maybe to go a step too far in order to prevent unintended consequences. I think everyone in the House, and I would stand corrected, but I would be very, very confident everyone in the House wants to see gambling dealt with and properly regulated. So as people are gambling for fun and they're gambling for enjoyment, not gambling out of an addiction or any kind of need or necessity. I would hope that the House would not divide on this legislation at second stage. But what I would hope the House would do is submit amendments to improve the legislation, because knowing this Minister as I do, he will engage with members from all sides to ensure that amendments are tabled that make sense and that enhance the legislation and achieve our common goal, which is to protect our citizens, but at the same time ensure that we're fair to people who are making their livelihood out of gaming and gambling, and also to ensure that the local GAA lotto or soccer lotto operates and continues to provide the vital financial supports the clubs need in order to ensure that children and young people play an active role in sport and an active, healthy role in society. So I think this legislation is very important, but I do acknowledge it's only a start. But we have to start somewhere, and the Minister has made a significant start with the interdepartmental report that was worked on over 2 years, which reported and was brought to Cabinet. And this legislation is, in my view, the start of a process to bring us in line with best international practice, because we should be setting best international practice.